Hello and welcome to another TLDR US video. You may have noticed a lack of meat on store shelves lately. Obviously the coronavirus pandemic has affected many facets of societies all over the world, chief among them being industries that drive both the global economy and individual national economies. As states and countries attempt to reopen, we thought it would be a good time to look at one of the hardest hit industries in the US and around the world, the meatpacking industry. So in this video, we're going to take a look at how the global meat industry has been affected by the pandemic and what governments are doing to minimise its devastation. If you like our States with Shoes graphics, then I have some good news for you. We've got some merch featuring pretty much every state that we've designed so far. If you click the link in the description and head to the store, you can find photos of every state available. Then, after clicking on your state, you can use the drop-down menu to choose the products you want and your preferred colour. Find your state and support TLDR by clicking the link in the description. As the pandemic progressed in March and April, it was clear that supply lines would be affected. As the virus spread through the meatpacking industry, a lack of workers forced many slaughterhouses to close. On April 26, John Tyson, head of Tyson Foods, placed ads in newspapers describing the plight of the industry. In addition to sick workers and slaughterhouse closures, Tyson also touches on the surplus problem that many farmers are having, saying farmers across the nation will simply not have anywhere to sell their livestock to be processed. Essentially, this means that farmers could be forced to simply kill off their livestock. Obviously, as Tyson rightly points out, this is definitely a waste of food and a serious supply chain issue. And these effects mean that consumers could find empty meat shelves well into the summer. As a result, President Trump again invoked the DPA, which designated the meat industry as essential and mandated processing plants to stay open. Passed in 1950 to meet the needs of the Korean War, the DPA allows the government to have more control over industrial production in times of crisis. It will enable the administration to redirect money and resources to meet public needs. And earlier in the year, President Trump invoked the law to force General Motors to produce much-needed ventilators. Now, this certainly isn't the first time the US government has forced industries to produce goods for the public good. During both World Wars, the US government arranged for industries to produce military goods and supplies to support the war effort. Now, we understand this certainly is not a time of war, but the principle of industry supporting the public good remains the same. Now, over the years, the world's meat production has increased dramatically, more than quadrupling since 1960. And it's also worth noting here that while the United States is the largest single meat producer in the world, many other countries obviously produce meat as well. In fact, Asia is the largest regional producer in the world. That said, this is certainly a global problem. In fact, reports from Ireland, Romania and Australia all show the same impacts that the US is experiencing. So, what do the effects on the meat industry mean for consumers of meat products and the market as a whole? Well, as I mentioned earlier, store shelves may remain pretty bare for several months. Now, none of us at TLDR are economists, but we do understand scarcity. This economic principle simply states that the more scarce a good is, or the fewer there are of something, the more it's likely to cost consumers at the cash register. So it would certainly be logical to conclude that we would expect to see meat prices go up in the coming weeks and months. Furthermore, if farmers are forced to simply slaughter their livestock without gaining any kind of payment for them, it may put farmers in a pretty precarious position from a financial standpoint. Luckily for farmers, $9.5 billion was set aside in the government's recent CARES Act, specifically for programs within the US Department of Agriculture. The question becomes, will it be enough? Well, time will tell if farmers are able to recover. And if you'd like to know more about what's in the CARES Act, then check out the video we made on it, where we explore exactly what was in this $2.2 trillion stimulus package. There's a link to it in the description. So the entire dilemma facing the meat industry is, with slaughterhouses being forced to shut down, do they waste food by killing surplus livestock, or risk workers' lives by keeping them running? This is also a question that's plagued governments. Politicians around the world have been considering when to reopen their economy, bringing into play a sort of balancing act between preserving economic prosperity and the health and safety of the population. With suspicions of there being a second wave after opening economies back up again, it's certainly a question we'll be hearing a lot more about. So, what do you think about this situation? Should the government be doing more to protect the meat industry, or do you object to tax dollars being spent on a controversial industry like this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, you can get involved in the conversation over on Discord. We'll keep you updated on the pandemic as events play out, so be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified whenever we post a new video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible.